Megaman is a beloved franchise. Whether it's classic, the X series, or the NT series, people just love the Blue Bomber. So when Capcom announced that not only were they going to release a 30th anniversary collection, but a new installment in the franchise, everyone went wild, myself included. Fast forward to October 2nd, and the game is released. So let's see if this is an epic return of a beloved franchise, or if it's another cash grab using the nostalgia of its fans. For this review, I played on Nintendo Switch. What is happening? Mattmade here. When Megaman 11 was announced, I knew I had to get my hands on it as a huge fan of platformers and a fan of Megaman. I was happy to see the return of the Blue Bomber in all his glory, on top of which, the updated graphics and the introduction of the gear system really piqued my interest and hooked me in. Mega Man 11 starts off with something not often seen in a Mega Man game, an actual plot and story. Upon booting up the game, you get a glimpse of a young Dr. Wily and Dr. Light arguing over how to proceed with their research. Dr. Light wants to look into making robots sentient and able to think for themselves, while Wily wants to make them more powerful and stronger in order to be able to outdo humans using the double gear system. They argue about which direction they should focus their attention, and the board sides with Light. This sets Wily off and he then leaves. This shows some of why Wily despises Light, and why most of the things that happen are kinda Light's fault as well. This is the first introduction of the double gear system that is at the heart of Mega Man 11. The double gear allows you to either power up your shots or speed yourself up. On top of which, when you have low health, you can activate the double boost system. This both powers up your shots and slows enemies. However, once that runs out, you have to cool down. This makes it so that you can't charge the buster or shoot as rapidly, making you very vulnerable. It's really a high risk, high reward mode. The gameplay is pretty familiar, lining up well with previous installments, with a few quality of life improvements. If you played any of the other previous installments, then you will immediately know what to do. You still need to be very precise with your jumps and shots in order to make it through the level, and unlike the X games, you can't wall jump, so if you fall off a ledge, there is no saving yourself. However, unlike previous installments, Rush Coil is default and easily accessible. Rush can help you get to many places and over many obstacles that otherwise would be a huge pain. As usual, each boss has a weakness to another boss's weapon. However, in 11, not only is the boss weak to the weapon, but also all of the enemies in the stage. For instance, all of the enemies in Torchman's stage are weak to Tundraman's weapon. Even the pillar of fire that chases you can be frozen to give yourself some much needed breathing room. Finding the boss's weakness will not only make things easier, but will give you a much needed boost. On top of which, some of the boss powers can do full screen clears, making an otherwise difficult section fairly easy after wiping out the enemies. All powers aren't created equal, however, and this is especially true for Mega Man 11. Some are great for movement, such as Impact Man's power, while others are good for long distance attacks, like Block Man's power. Then there are those that I found almost no use for. Acid Man's Acid Shield and Shot seem useful at first, however when actually using it and going through a level, you find that using the Buster can be more effective. The only use I found for that is for the other boss. The double gear system can seem pretty gimmicky at first. However, once you get used to it, you can see that it does help you get through the game and make certain sections more manageable. While you don't need to use it in your playthrough, it's always there for you just in case. Sort of like that good friend that always has your back and that you can call on. This may please some Mega Man purists who dump on the game calling it an unnecessary gimmick. Yeah, I'm talking about you. You know who you are. Once you get used to the system, you can do some pretty neat things. From jumping on falling blocks to taking out that annoying enemy before they get a chance to retaliate, the double gear system is a great addition to the already fun and tight gameplay of Mega Man. While it may or may not stay in the franchise moving forward, it works wonders for this game. The bosses have one of the two gears at their disposal. When you fight them and drop them to half health, they can activate either the power gear or the speed gear. If they have the power gear, they get super powered and some of them are invulnerable for that duration. Your only option is to dodge and run away until it runs out. Upon which, they are stunned for a few seconds and can lay down some heavy damage on them. If they have the speed gear, they become super quick and are way harder to dodge. However, they can still be damaged if you time it right. Also, when they come out of that gear as well, they have a bit of a vulnerable state for you to exploit. On top of that, they look really cool while in the gears. It was fun fighting Fuseman as he flashed around the stage and rained down electricity, forcing me to dodge around like a maniac. The stages look fantastic. The backgrounds are sharp and dynamic. Each one gives more of a hint into the Megaman world, and how things are when there aren't 8 robot masters trying to destroy everything. The campground stage really works to humanize the robots. They're out in cute little tents, and in the background you see a bunch of Mets at a bonfire, and it's one of the most adorable scenes in the game. And then you go back to destroying their cousins and friends. Not only are the backgrounds great, the actual stages are well built. Some are definitely more annoying than others. Looking at you, Bounce Man. You and your stupid balloon things. However, mostly they are great stages. Enemies aren't too packed in and are manageable, and as long as you pay attention, you can take them out fairly easily. Where it does start to become difficult is with the actual platforming. There are many instances of me attempting to jump to a platform or jump through a hole to get higher, and I would hit some sort of invisible wall that prevented me from getting through. This caused more deaths than I care to admit. It also seems that when you turn around and try to immediately jump, the jump doesn't happen at times. This can be very frustrating, and when you're close to the mid-boss and this happens, you just want to quit. Aside from that, a really neat thing about the stages is that if you use the boss's weakness, some obstacles can even be destroyed. This lets you progress almost unhindered through the stage. The music in Megaman 11 is amazing. Each tune is catchy and you'll find yourself nodding your head even while dying. Each boss's theme pumps you up and gets you ready for the trials ahead, and when you destroy enemies and are really flowing through the stage, it eggs you on and makes you feel like a platforming god. Not only is the music great, but the sound effects are on point as well. While there are a few that sound retro and like they were pulled from the older games, this adds to the experience and makes it fit. The sound of the Buster firing, Mega Man being hit, and the death sound all feel just right. Enemies' attacks also sound great and have depth. When something hits you, it not only looks painful but sounds like it as well. Mega Man 11 really tried to dial everything up, and the soundboard wasn't left behind. However, not all is great with the game. Aside from your jump sometimes not going off when you do a quick turn, there are other issues. One being the number of checkpoints. There are only about 1 or 2 checkpoints in each stage. One being after you defeat the mid-boss, and the other being when you get to the boss. Dying right before either will set you way back, and you'll have to make this log back minus whatever items or abilities you may have used. This was the thing that infuriated me the most. I would fight my way to a mid-boss just to get bodied and have to start back at the beginning of the stage. Or I'd be on the last section right before the boss door and die. This can make you want to quit the game and play something else at times. Another issue is the fact that you can only buy certain items on Saturday. I have no idea why they chose to do this. Like, why is the shop time locked with certain items? It's a weird and fairly useless mechanic. Aside from a somewhat buggy jump and those other few issues, the platforming is tight. Running, jumping, and shooting feel almost exactly like they did in the previous games. Mega doesn't feel like he lost a step from 10 to 11. Rush is by your side, and this time he's your default ability. No more going to the pause menu and selecting him. This is a great change and allows for more streamlined gameplay. Overall, Mega Man 11 is a great return of a beloved character. While it does have its hiccups and some glaring issues, the overall experience is positive. The introduction of the gear system is pretty cool, and the new robot masters, while a bit weird, are all interesting and well animated. If you have been waiting for the return of the Blue Bomber, or you enjoy difficult platformers, then you definitely don't want to miss this one. But what do you think? Have you played Mega Man 11? Does it interest you? What are your thoughts? Don't forget, if you're a fan of gaming, consider striking that subscribe button and hitting the bell. This is Mattmade, and I will see you tomorrow.
Freeze right there. Hold her, gorgeous, and shatter. A grand finale.